I know y'all think I really like to talk about domestic violence and sexual assault. I don't. I do not actually. I would love to talk about Thundercats and He-Man and all the other shit that kids my age really enjoy. Right? I love to talk about those things, but no, I have to talk about domestic violence and sexual assault because these things are very pervasive and accepted things within our culture, even within our community. I hate to even say that aloud, but y'all, I gave that little commentary about Joe Button's comments about stealthing. And I mean, first of all, I don't expect numbers on YouTube because I don't think YouTube amplifies the kind of shit that I talk about, which is fine, but whatever. But just in the conversation cycle out there in the world, didn't really see it go nowhere. Didn't really see it go nowhere, did it? Did it? I don't even think Spotify even blinked. Spotify didn't even consider relieving that admitted sexual assaulter of his job. Didn't even. Everybody just kind of shrugged, as I knew they would. And this is the reason why I talk about these topics because I want everybody else to see the apathy that Black women experience when it comes to violence being committed against us, right? Like that ain't some shit that I say. That ain't some shit that I'm happy or glad about. I wish it was the opposite. Truly, I do. But I've been on this planet 44 years, and I realized, sadly, that nobody really gives a fuck if Black women are harmed. Black women are beat on, if Black women are murdered by their abusers, if Black women are sexually assaulted, or if Black women are raped. That's just par for the course. That's just something Black women just gotta endure. And not to say that other women do not experience that or endure that. They do. And I think they also encounter apathy as well. But I think the specific indifference reserved for Black and Indigenous women, I'll throw in, our Indigenous sisters in there as well, because I think the same levels of apathy and indifference get aimed at them as well. So October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Okay, and I am going to have somebody join us, not today, but later on this month to kind of go over the different ways in which domestic violence manifests itself, right? In intimate partner relationships, it can manifest itself via, child abuse, kids still getting beatings, like that's domestic violence. The way it presents itself in LGBTQ relationships, like I think all of these different dynamics about DV are very relevant and necessary for conversation. But I want us to look at a package from out in Indianapolis because there was a pair of domestic violence incidents that both ended in violence, both ended with people getting killed. And I didn't go out to select Indianapolis because, truth be told, look in the local media outlets in the state near you, in the state where you are. I'm sure a domestic violence story is right there waiting because people get killed and are harmed in domestic violence situations all the time. Shit, that's some of the most dangerous situations that police don't even like to put themselves in. They don't like to be in there fucking with domestic violence shit because why? Because usually the man is ready to go all the way, right? And again, and not to say that women aren't perpetuators of domestic violence, they are. But when we break down the numbers as to literally who dies as a result of domestic violence incidents, those numbers ain't close. Those numbers are not close. It is women dying a lot and men dying a little. So there's that. But I want us to take a look at this package. And this is from WTHR. And, they're just talking about DV. And well, that is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. But when they are trying to put out resources for survivors to reach out to, whom they omitted to me was very telling. So let's take a look at this package from WTVR in Indiana.
For many, it's a daily silent fear. Many children are often witness to it. We're talking about domestic violence. IMPD on the scene Sunday of yet another domestic violence incident.
It's just sad how things is happening every day, you know what I mean?
Police say Thomas Talley held his ex-girlfriend hostage at a home on Indy's west side. They heard a gunshot. SWAT rushed in and shot Talley. He died. The woman survived.
Unfortunately, the circumstances did lead to a death, but it was a relief knowing that this wasn't a hostage situation where a victim was pronounced dead at the scene. We don't get that often here in the city.
Daniette Smith is a survivor turned advocate.
This isn't something that just started during COVID. It got worse, but it also brought the attention of knowing that there are a lot of families who are needing this assistance with domestic violence.
Just 2 weeks ago, Orlando Mitchell shot and killed the mother of his 1-year-old son. Crystal Walton was laid to rest this past Saturday. According to a report by the Domestic Violence Network, 65% of all domestic violence-related homicides in 2018 and 2019 in central Indiana were committed using a firearm. In 2020, that number increased nearly 10%.
You need someone that can walk with you, that can understand with you exactly what you're going through as survivors, and then get you to where you need to be, whether that's working with you in the home or getting you out of that home because it could be dangerous.
Reasons why Smith encourages victims of domestic violence to get an advocate to help keep them safe. If you or someone you know needs help, there is help available. Just call 1-800-799-SAFE.
You know who they
Did you?
you know who they did not say call? You notice? Did you notice that? Not the reporter nor the domestic violence advocate. You know who they did not say to call? They did not say call 911. They did not say go pursue a restraining order. They didn't say reach out to the police. They didn't say any of that. And I think that that is extremely telling. And I appreciate them not saying that. I don't think that was coincidental. There was a Black woman reporter, and her primary source there was the Black woman DV advocate, and neither of them told people to call the police. Because at the end of the day, what y'all, the police do not keep us safe. And especially victims of domestic violence, the court system is pretty much ineffective because and obviously I'm speaking from my own perspective, from cis hetero perspective of relationships and the way that this plays out in other relationships. Please fill in the blanks. But I mean, if your man is trying to kill you, guess what? A little piece of paper, a restraining order is not going to stop him. Okay. And there has been numerous times, documented times, in which a person, a male has, or female, but I'm thinking specifically about men here, but where a man has violated the protection order and the woman has called the police and asked them to come, and they won't. And they fucking won't come. And they won't come. Won't do it. And those statistics were particularly sobering coming out of Indiana. As Shirley has told us, the state of Indiana has some of the most lax handgun laws in the country. I don't. What's the rule, Shirley? You don't even. I don't. They give them to babies in elementary school. I mean, they ain't going that far, but I mean, pretty much like you don't need a permit. I don't think you need any sort of training or certification in order to purchase and carry legally a handgun in the state of Indiana. So according to that story, 2018, 2019, 65% of domestic violence homicides were committed with a handgun. In 2020, that number went up to 75%. So now with the increased proliferation of guns, all I can think of is that there's just going to be more domestic violence victims that end up getting murdered because the guns are so easy to obtain. And the police are generally very ineffective at making sure that domestic violence survivors get protection. I mean, help is one thing, and women do need help, especially families, if they need to move, if they need stable housing, if they need transportation, like all of those things are very important. But if they are not able to be made safe from their abuser, then all that other shit doesn't mean anything, right? And the only ones, allegedly, who can keep them safe are the police. And the police do not do a good job of that. And I'm so deeply sorry to the family of that sister who was murdered by her partner. But that's not a one-off. I assure you, she was not the only Black woman murdered by her partner over the weekend, right? And if we expand that out to all women, it's a very, very serious situation. So throughout this month, we are going to be talking about domestic violence issues. We're going to be speaking with DV experts, and trying to, I guess, come to a solution. Because I will admit, y'all, I mean, my solution, it's a little immature. Okay. I choose violence. I choose violence. Now, I want brothers in the community to choose violence on behalf of survivors, right? Because again, there's a lot of lot of little girls like me who are not in a physical position to be going toe to toe with some man, right? But should I be struck, abused, whatever, I would like to see something happen to the abuser. And so many times, more often than not, nothing happens to the abuser. Like I almost think it's a romantic sort of fantasy that a lot of people have. And maybe, and again, y'all know I have a tendency to project my own situation into the shit. So if I'm out of turn here, feel free to correct me. But not everybody can call on their dad or their brothers or their uncles or their male cousins to come fuck up a man who has put hands on you, right? Like and maybe some people do have it like that. I don't know a lot of people that do. You know what I mean? Maybe a couple, but overwhelmingly, the survivor slash victim of the domestic violence has to figure out a way to either survive the situation and to figure out and plot a path forward, because not everybody has familial protection. And if you don't have familial protection, you kind of have to rely on yourself. But I don't think that that's what it should be. I think that if you don't have a father or brother or uncle that will stand up in a chivalrous way to confront your abuser physically, right? Then there should be a squad in the community of men tasked for that, right? Like, I think somebody should be tasked with that. Like, that needs to be somebody's job. Like, that needs to be some shit that we as the community fund. And what does that look like? I'm not exactly sure. And I understand, again, just citing the statistics that I just read out, I know we live in a very violent society, and I know pussy ass men who are liable to beat women are liable to also bust them guns, right? Because at the end of the day, they hit women because they are afraid to confront a man physically straight up, right? And those are the same kind of niggas that will go and shoot over fighting, right? Like, they will smack a woman and then shoot at another man because they don't really want that drama. But there has to be some sort of, there has to be a resolution here, y'all, because I do not accept that abusers just get to be out here abusing like unchecked, unregulated, unfettered. Like, I don't accept that. And the reason I don't accept that is because I don't accept that for your daughters. Like, I do not accept that for your kids. Like, I don't accept that for little girls out here. I don't accept that for the young women that are in middle school, high school, college. Like, I don't accept that for them. And the police are not it. So what is it? What is the community solution here? Fuck up abusers is my solution. that is my personal contribution to the fucking solutions bin. Fuck up the abusers. Now, who gonna do that? We're gonna figure that out. So anyway.